Good morning, everyone. Would love to welcome all of you to our final committee meeting for the Children and Families and Early Education Committee. We're looking forward to today's discussion, and of course, just want to thank all of our committee members for your time and dedication to our committee. We so appreciate you taking the time to dig in on the important issues that affect our youngest learners in LAUSD and their families. For today's meeting, we have a couple of different things we're trying to accomplish, so we'll begin with a presentation by the Early Childhood Education Division and the Division of Adult and Career Education, focusing on DACE's interactions with early childhood and all the great work that they do. We will talk about our committee recommendations for the year. So every year we have the committee, we develop a list of recommendations that will then pass on to the superintendent and staff. And so we'll discuss what we've drafted based on our discussions and have time to add anything, change anything, based on how you all feel. And then we have some special recognitions at the end, so as well as public comment. So definitely encourage you to stay tuned for the whole meeting. With that, I'll check and see, is there anyone on Zoom that we need to recognize? Oh yes, Board Member Thies Franklin is with us on Zoom. Good morning. Hi.
Good morning.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our first presentation. So as I said, that's a collaboration between ECED Early Childhood and the Division of Adult and Career Education. And if you could hold your questions till the end of the presentation, that'd be great. Come on down. Welcome.
Sada Kotmal, Chief of Transitional Programs, and we are very honored and thrilled to share this great collaboration between our Division of Adult Education and our Early Education team. To get us started, I wanted to give you a brief overview of our Division of Adult Education. So as you see on this slide, we currently serve over 75,000 students to date. And what our program provides are high-quality, tuition-free education and training for adults. And as of today, we have over 75,000 students, where 53% are taking ESL, or English as a Second Language courses. We also have about 21% with basic skills or earning their high school diploma, and also 26% in a career and technical education pathway. We also administer the largest apprenticeship program in the state of California. Our team today will be highlighting 3 early education connections. First, we'll talk about the early education collaboration as teams. Then we'll also share career training opportunities that are offered around early education. And finally, really excited about the family literacy program that we're ready to launch in the fall. First, let me welcome the Executive Director of Early Education, Dr. Dean Tagawa.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is exciting. I think, one, for me, it's exciting, but two, I want to really talk about this collaboration that we have with Adult Ed. And it's something that we've worked on over the years, but what's been exciting about it is that now we have all of our students who are in our Adult Ed child development programs can do their practicum hours at one of our early ed centers. And so it makes it a very simple way for the for the adults who are going through the Adult Ed program to go ahead and take those units, the things they've learned, and then work at one of the early education centers to complete their practicum hours. I think the other part of it you're gonna see on the next kind of line, those 3 bullets. So we have Maxine Waters, which is one of our adult ed centers, and then right next door to Maxine Waters is Ethel Bradley Early Ed Center. So the kids who are at Maxine Waters can literally walk across the parking lot to the early ed centers to do their practicum hours. And then coming really soon is, I'm going to start with the second bullet point and the third bullet point, our West Valley and Harbor adult schools. And right next door to each of them is San Pedro Early Ed Center and West Valley Occupational Center. And they're both so close to opening. And I know I probably said so close to opening for the last 4 or 5 months, but these are really close, literally July. And so we're just waiting now for adult occupancy, so we can start doing the enrollment and bringing the staff in to do those. And so they look amazing. I know final cleanup at West Valley is like next week, and then San Pedro is opening, and San Pedro actually has an outdoor classroom. And it's a small center, but it's it's absolutely gorgeous, so I can't wait till we get that open. And then the last thing I'm going to say, you see the child development student externship sites, but these are places where, again, where the students who are at those adult ed centers can come over, leave their children, and then attend school and be part of that. And then the last thing I'm going to kind of close with is we're looking at ways to make sure that our adult ed students, a large percentage of them come to school in the evening. So 2:30, 4:30, and they're there till 8:30, 9 o'clock. And so one of the things that we're doing is at San Pedro, and they're going to be in West Valley, and Bradley is going to start piloting this. Bradley's going to be the first one, so starting in August 11th to the 14th, we're going to start hopefully enrolling students into an evening program so that the students who are attending the adult ed will have a place to leave their children in the afternoon or in the early evening. So we're working on finalizing that, but that's an exciting piece because it really supports our families and our students who have those non-traditional working hours. So that's an exciting piece, and that'll kind of be our pilot program to see how it does, and then bringing them back in at Harbor and West Valley. And so we'll use the model to kind of learn from that. There's a lot of operational pieces that we're working through, so everything from evening differentials to closing and cleaning and things like that. So there's a lot of pieces to come with that, but I think that's going to be a really exciting advancement for early ed and for our families. So it's a little update on the collaboration with adult ed, but I'm going to turn it over to Rennie Nera, who's our executive director for adult ed, who's going to talk a little bit more about those connections. So Rennie, it's all you.
Thank you, Dean. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you guys this morning. So, in addition to partnering with Dean and ECED, we here at DAYS offer programs at all of our adult education campuses that are, as you heard earlier, tuition-free and prepare individuals for careers in early education and child care services. Our child development programs are each 100-hour courses. All courses are taught by credentialed industry professionals and include hands-on learning opportunities in real-life work settings. Students who complete the program for a child development assistant permit, the permits are issued, as you know, by California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. We know that Los Angeles is experiencing shortages in child care professionals. To address this, we have partnered with local agencies like the LA County Office of Education, LA's Economic and Workforce Development Programs Department, and the Mayor's Office to ensure that our programs support local hiring initiatives and that our graduates have a wide variety of access to job opportunities. For example, this slide here lists some of the wonderful jobs available to our graduates. First and foremost, we're supporting the district by providing a pathway to LAUSD positions like infant care aide and early ed assistant. In addition, we also prepare our students for jobs in private centers, nonprofit centers, church-affiliated preschools, and Head Start programs. We are extremely proud of our child development program, and we're thrilled to have one of our graduates here today from East Los Angeles Occupational Center. Dulce Vargas graduated from our program last year, and is here to share her amazing story. Dulce.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dulce Vargas, and I'm a proud mother of a child with autism. Almost 8 years ago, my journey began. To help my son, I need to educate myself, and adult education gave me the opportunity I needed. I took all the child development programs that Eastside Learning Center offers. Yes, all of them. And it opened a world of opportunities for me and my son. My teacher, Ms. Irma Cuevas, an amazing teacher, dedicated to her students, inspired me to dream for more, to reach out for higher education. Thanks to her, I was able to work as a parent rep and later as a special education teacher assistant for the Los Angeles Unified School District, helping me and guiding families like mine. I had the knowledge and I was ready. I enrolled into college at East Los Angeles Community College, and I can now proudly say that I'm going to be graduating this June with an associate degree. But my journey doesn't, thank you. It doesn't end here. There is more to achieve. I'm planning to continue to help families like mine, pursuing my bachelor's degree as a speech-language pathologist at Cal State Long Beach. My son is 8 years old now, speaking 2 languages, and mainstreaming on general education. The future is looking bright. None of this would have been possible without the dedication that Ms. Cuevas put on me. Being part of Eastside Learning Center was the best decision I could have made. Thank you, Eastside Learning Center, for being there for us, and thank you for opening the doors for adults like me. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Dulce, for sharing your powerful story. As you can see, let me switch it. As you can see, our child development programs change lives, just like the rest of our programs do as well. Anyone who's interested in working with our youngest learners is welcome to enroll in any one of our programs, which are offered tuition-free at 7 of our locations that you see on this slide. Abram Friedman, East Los Angeles, Evans, Maxine Waters, North Valley, Slauson, and West Valley Occupational Center. In addition to these wonderful courses and child development courses, we're also very excited, as you heard Dean speak, to announce that we will be launching a new family literacy program this fall. The family literacy program uses a 2-generation approach to help parents and children learn and grow together. Parents who enroll in this program receive both adult education and parent education instruction. They progress towards their academic goals, like learning English or obtaining a high school diploma or equivalent, while also learning how to build the language and early literacy skills of their children. The children, which will be from ages 3 through 5, accompany their parents to our schools and participate in activities to help prepare them for success in school as well. The final and most powerful component of the program is that the parent and the child have together time. So on a regular basis, our teachers bring parents and children together and facilitate meaningful learning activities that support child development and foster strong parent and child empowerment. The Family Literacy Program is a testament of the power that learning together makes, and we cannot wait to offer it this fall at 2 of our sites, East Valley Skills Center, which is a branch of North Valley Occupational Center, and East Los Angeles Eastside Learning Center, which is a branch of East LA OC. The classrooms are all set up, the curriculum has been developed by our subject matter experts, and our teachers and infant care aides are receiving training this summer in preparation for the launch of the program. We cannot wait for this to begin. As you can tell, LA Unified plays a very critical role in the health, prosperity, and academic success of all the families that we serve. Thank you again for allowing us to present today.
Thank you all so much, and what a highlight to hear about Ms. Vargas' story in particular, so inspiring. I'll now open it up to our committee members for questions or comments that you may have, so feel free to raise your literal or virtual hand to let me know that you want to chat. Let's start with Ms. Corona. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I have a question regarding the family literacy program. Can you talk a little bit more, like what is the schedule? Does it have a specific term, like 6 months, 2 months, a year, 2 years?
So I am going to bring up Matthew Oberlander, who is my director. He worked hand in hand developing the curriculum, so he will know to the T exactly everything that you're asking.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the question. The Family Literacy Program is designed to be a year-long for parents and children to kind of experience this learning together. The weekly schedule is, it begins with parent education activities at the beginning of the week, and then students are in their traditional adult ed classes for Tuesday through Thursday, and then on Friday they do the parent and child together time.
And does this program, when you enroll for this program, you have specific goals, like the family wants to learn about, or the parent that is going to this classes, do they have the opportunity to choose a certain topic? Like, I want to become an electrician, I want to become a preschool teacher. Do they have the ability to choose their own career? And also, if after a year they're not done with the program, can they reapply and keep on doing it?
Yes, absolutely. So yes to both of those. So basically, the program is designed around the goals of the parents. So if a parent is in a high school diploma program or an ESL program or a career technical education program, they can still also be in the family literacy program. It wraps around those educational goals. And then if they get to the end of the year and they feel like this is a great program, but I really want to continue learning more, they can re-enroll in the program. And then while they're in the program, the teacher can also work with them if they have very specific goals for their children or for their family in general.
And what is the schedule that you guys will work with?
So it's 8 to 10 a.m. on Monday is when they do the parent education component. And then at the end of the week, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is when they do the parent and child together time. And then the other times are based on whatever their curricular goals are.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, I think you had your hand up.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I'm glad that we have our programs in place to encourage those who are interested in pursuing careers. The question I have for the DACE and the Early Childhood Education Division, how long does it take actually to complete the program for the participants?
For the career training program,
Yes.
the career training program is a 300-hour program. There are 3 100-hour courses. When you complete those courses, then you've met the requirements for the Child Development Assistant Permit through the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing.
Okay, and also, once the completion of the program, do you place the participants into the jobs?
Yeah, we help with that. We have job placement assistance, but also as part of the program, students do a practicum or an externship component where they work at real child care sites or early education sites. So it's kind of become sort of like a long job interview because they're there and they're working with the owners. And so often they are employed by the owners where they do the practicum, or they really love working in early education, they apply and they join LAUSD. But we do provide the job assistance.
So it's like a mentoring program also where the teachers are actually mentoring the students, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So they're with children, but with a mentor teacher at the same time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great questions. Others with questions or comments for our presenters? Yes, Principal Kazarian.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I have a question in regards to the assistant permit. Currently, at early education sites, our aides do not require to have a permit. Have you guys thought about maybe offering associate teacher permit? That's, I think, the next level, so this way it can help us with substitute teachers.
Yes, absolutely. So you're right. It's not a requirement. It's something that we offer because we know it makes a student more marketable in the job market and is a requirement for maybe some non-LAUSD jobs. We would love to do the associate permit. The way the Ed Code is currently written, a person has to go to community college to get those credits. But we are working very closely with our community college partners through the Los Angeles Regional Adult Education Consortium, which we're part of, to see if we can create some kind of articulation agreement. If we can establish an articulation agreement for which they can get the credits, then we could probably create a pathway like that. So we're working very hard.
That would be great. That would be, Ms. Gomez, just sharing out loud, maybe that could be something for our assistants to change into their career ladder for early ed assistants.
Yeah,
to
like
have
a
something
grow
where
your
they
own.
have certain amount of child development permits or classes that they get a little bit of higher pay, so that recognize their hard work and also give the teachers in the classroom somebody that has a little bit of a background with child development instead of just a high school degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. And when we circle to the recommendations later today, like that might be something that we want to add to our list. Any other questions, Principal Kazarian? Go ahead, Mr. Ramirez Ortiz.
Good morning. It's actually a comment. I think it's great that we are creating this pathway. I think it's good for helping also build the staffing at the sites, or a way to build the staffing. But it's really great to hear that the night programs there's gonna be piloting of these night programs for our little ones, because my career with early ed started as an aide for night care, and it was a big need. And when they closed, it was very disappointing. So the fact that we're going to be piloting these, I can't wait to see it actually grow. So, awesome.
Absolutely. Yes, Ms. Baca Beltran.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for your presentation. I echo the excitement around the expansion of hours, and the reality is it's difficult to go to school if you don't have childcare. And so I am curious to know, though, because I would assume, I don't know, maybe you have more of the details on this, a lot of the parents or folks that are engaging in adult classes are probably working during the day, and most often are going to the night classes to be able to achieve certifications or higher degrees or whatnot. And I do know that the literacy program and where the extended hours do not overlap. Just curious to know more about like what that expansion would look like in those other areas, because I wouldn't, the literacy programs are in East LA and the East Valley, and the extended hours are in the West Valley and South LA, very differing places geographically. So would it make sense that they couldn't, if they wanted to participate in the literacy programs, if their home schools are in these different geographic locations? So just wanting to hear more about that, and how are we able to offer these services to those who may be interested but just not able to?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. Our goal always is to maximize access, and I think for now, as we showed earlier, there are certain sites where we currently offer child development programs. And so that we're starting with 2 of those sites for the family literacy program, but in the future, our goal is to offer it at all of those sites. And then, establishing a new child development program at a school can sometimes take a little bit of time because you need to find a teacher. CTE teachers are pretty challenging to find at the moment. And then you have to put together the program, recruit the students, et cetera. So we're always trying to expand the baseline child development programs, which we will be doing next year. And then we will be expanding family literacy kind of on top of those existing programs, because we need a child development program as a basis. And then the reason that the evening programs are in those specific areas is just because those are where we have co-located sites, where we have an early ed site on site with an adult education program at the same campus. So as we open more of those, we'll also expand those into the evening. Like you mentioned, our goal is to make sure that anybody who wants to access these programs has, the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and I wonder as well what the age is that will be truly served in the aftercare hours. I could have maybe an infant, and then maybe I have an 8-year-old. And so just wondering about servicing that, and also the cross time over of maybe it's bedtime historically for these children while my parent is in class. Like, are there cribs or certain areas? Just wanting to know more about like that logistical effort.
I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Tagawa, because the evening program hours are all under early ed at the moment, so he can explain a little bit more. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to lower it because Matthew's pretty tall. I'm going to say one of the things, really good questions and really good points. And so these are things that we've been talking about as we kind of prepare these programs. So definitely expansion that Matthew mentioned is definitely in the works. I think some of the other things are, we've even had to meet with food services, because what kind of meals can we get to the kids in the evening? Can they get a hot meal? Is it going to be a shelf-stable meal? So there's a lot of those considerations as well. Right now, we're going to focus on, and we had done a survey over at Maxine Waters. And so in the evening program, they currently had about 57 students that had kids 0 to 5. Right, and so the target group, because we would be using an early education center, would be pretty much those 3s and 4s to start. That doesn't mean that later on we can't add 0 and 2. But initially, the thinking is around the 3 to 4-year-olds because the center's already built, designed, the rooms are set up for that way. So I think that's definitely probably, as we kind of think of recommendations for the out years and coming up, that's definitely something that could be part of those recommendations and how do we expand that? And even to the extent of, even discussing about how do we expand 0 to 2 offerings, district-wide, but statewide as well. So there's those considerations are being taken into effect, but this first year, we're really going to look at that 3 to 4 population because we're already suited for that and geared for that. And so that's kind of where we'll start. But I know that's not the full picture because I'm sure in 2 years it's going to look different too. But yeah, that's where we are. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. And I guess it just also gets me thinking about the furthered collaboration with family childcare providers who are located in these areas and already service students at LAUSD and how they can help bridge the gaps.
So we've met a couple times. They have bridge navigators through LA County from like Crystal Stairs and MAOF and different organizations that we've met with. And there's a big need for the 0 to 2 space, but then also after school care. And so many of them still service school age students, right? And so that's another way that we're partnering with them to make sure that, as kids come into our program and as they leave our program, then they have school age opportunities. But we make a lot of referrals to the Child Care Alliance and CCRC for the 0 to 2 space because we just don't have the capacity to do that now. Yeah. But, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Corlett.
Good morning, and thank you so much for this great presentation and this amazing work that you're doing, and Ms. Vargas for sharing your beautiful story, and your teacher who has been so impactful in your journey, so thank you so much. I had a question about who is eligible for these programs. Is it only parents and staff at LAUSD, and how are they advertised to the community so that they know about these programs? And then also curious about kind of the capacity. Are you all at capacity? Is there room for more folks to participate? And just, grateful for this work because as you have here in the presentation, only 8% of eligible infants and toddlers are currently being served in LA County, and we have a dire shortage, not just of staff, but also facilities and spaces for them.
Thank you for the question. So the programs are available to anybody who's interested, who is an adult. The family literacy program is designed for parents, so we really want that to be a parent-child experience. But for example, the career training pipeline through child development, that's open to any student who's interested or any adult learner who's interested. Yeah.
In terms of marketing, we air on television, commercials, radio. We have them on all our websites, billboards, you name it, interviews, different, any which way that we can put the word out there regarding any of our programs, all of them, including community events. We normally get calls asking, can you please have a booth or can you send us some of your flyers? Because many times, some of the centers as well will reach out to our sites where we have the courses and say, hey, do you have a cohort finishing anytime soon? Because we're in need. Right? That's how we end up even getting more partners for our externship opportunities for our students. And it's a win-win for both of us, right? They get the experience and then they get job placement, and it fills the need in the centers as well. So in terms of capacity, the 2 that are starting now have wait lists already. But as Matthew stated, we are all about, offering these opportunities, and as the quickest way that we can build is through word of mouth and success. So, once we have it launched and we see, how it goes and we iron out all the little, kinks, we, of course, are always looking for teachers. All of them, the ones that we have now, have completed our courses. So that's pretty much where our pipeline is probably going to come from because we have them right there to be able to expand and open new programs in different sites.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Board Member Melvoin, did you have any?
No, I appreciate my colleagues' comments. This is great. It was always fun to see collaboration between our departments, and we were just together at Venice Skills Center last week celebrating one of our classified employees of the year. I noticed Venice is not on here for any of those programs, so I'd like to change that, especially as we have a shuttered EEC nearby at Beethoven that we've been working on, trying to reopen. I know that's one of the recommendations we'll get to around shuttered sites, but am grateful that the West Valley Occupational Center, after years, is very close to opening, and appreciate the continued partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Melvoin. Board Member Ortiz Franklin?
Thank you. Yes, thanks for the presentation. Love, love, love the collaboration, especially getting to see it in action at Maxine Waters and Bradley because it's in my district and it's going so beautifully. Can't wait to expand elsewhere. I guess I'm thinking about the full pipeline, and I don't know how much you can share today versus in a follow-up, but could you share a little bit about sort of the pay or the benefits when people, finish their assistant certification and come and work for LA Unified, and then if they wanted to become like, our amazing story here, a special ed TA or an instructional aide, on the classified still, and or shifting over to the credentialing side and becoming, an early childhood teacher, and is that different from like what an elementary school teacher would receive in terms of pay or benefits? So I guess that kind of that full trajectory if folks wanted to earn more in terms of dollars, but also the full package of benefits that we offer in LA Unified.
Yeah, thank you, board member. I think that's probably a whole presentation in itself on the different pipelines and the career pathways through it, but I can give you just a short answer. So if they were to come to LA Unified, a lot of times they start as a 3-hour aide, but we've been seeing a lot of growth with our 3-hour aides moving into 8-hour positions. So with those credentials, they could easily come in as a 3-hour aide, either as a sub or, and subs can be 3 hours or 8 hours. So there's that pathway. And then if they wanted to continue their work, then they can continue, to get their child development permit, which is 24 units. And so they could do that at a community college. But I think the other part of this is that as they come into the district as a 3-hour aide, there's small benefits with being a 3-hour aide, but they do get a seniority date, which helps them to become promotable as an 8-hour aide, and an 8-hour aide is fully benefited through the district. So there's definitely, we have a lot of folks who go that route and then become early ed center 8-hour aides, and it's probably now, in the past you may have to have waited like 6 years to get an 8-hour position, but now with the combination of expansion and retirement and hiring more folks within early ed, it's probably a 1 to 2 year process to get an 8-hour position. So that's kind of the inside growth that happens, and then definitely I would say it's probably worthy of a presentation to present the different pathways that folks go to. And then even after they become a 3-hour aide, they can work on becoming an early childhood special ed aide, which again is a 8-hour, fully benefited position. So they test into that. So there's definite pathways that, and multiple opportunities to do that once they earn that associate teachers or associate assistant teachers permit. Yeah.
That's helpful. And then maybe just briefly on if there was an interest in going the credentialing route, like how much time would that take? We don't offer that, but then that salary increases dramatically, right? But is it the same as the elementary school teacher, or there's still sort of a difference of pay from the early childhood classroom teacher versus like an elementary school teacher?
Yeah, so there is a difference in pay between the early education state preschool teacher, the early ed center teacher, because one is year-round and one follows the 180-day calendar. But then there's also the, I'm going to say, the new credential that's coming out that CTC has put out, which is the P3 credential. So we do see, we do have a few teachers already who are in early ed who are going back to get that P3 credential, because part of it is they already have the experience. And so the universities, I know that Fresno, Cal State Dominguez Hills, Cal State Northridge will offer it this upcoming fall, but it's a P3 credential. And so I would actually probably bring in HR to talk about it, but and credentialing about it. But it's a really good opportunity for folks to get that P3 credential who really like to work with the younger kids to be able to do that. And it is a full credential, so they actually are on the regular, I don't want to say elementary teachers table. I don't know the exact term it is, but they're on that table as well. So, and that's a new credential that probably we won't see our first candidates come out until 26, 27, but definitely work in that space too from the state as well as in the district.
Thanks. Yeah, we heard from some folks who are doing that program, so that's very exciting. Maybe I will follow up on the full pipeline because I think it's great to get folks started, and we always need people in our classrooms serving in a variety of capacities. And it's just helpful to share, if people are interested, what is possible for, greater income for their families. So I really appreciate the chance to follow up on that either here or, we can do it in a one-on-one too. But we want to expand the opportunities as much as possible. So thank you all for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Just a couple of questions for me, and I agree, and Board Member Ortiz Franklin, we can pencil maybe something in for the fall on the early education career pathway, because we also know we have our TK teachers and our instructional aides in TK classrooms. So there's, as you all were presenting about the training pipeline that you have, I was wondering, so with the aides who are in TK classrooms, would that be a pipeline that we could create through our adult education program? So I think there's a lot of nuances to walk through, so we can look at maybe having a follow-up presentation in the fall if that works for folks. And then just to follow up on a couple of items for me. One, super exciting updates. I know I visited East Valley Skills Center, I want to say in the fall, and was excited to see the preschool space that they had there, to meet the educators who are going to be doing the family literacy program. And I met with students there as well who shared just what a need childcare is for them to be able to continue their learning. And so I think this is a great start, and I look forward to the day where we can offer, programs for more ages for, addressing those 0 to 2-year-old students, because I know the students there mentioned, some of them had kids in strollers with them while they were meeting with me. So we really want to make sure we're addressing those barriers for adult education students, but also just lifting everyone up and providing those learning opportunities. Have we thought, for this pilot, what defines success for the launch of these family literacy programs, and then what do the next steps in the future look like?
So we're trying to, because it's a pilot, of course, we want to study it and monitor the different metrics and outcomes. We tried to align the curriculum with a couple models. One model is the one that's used in early education here, and then the other one is the National Association for, I believe it is Families, Schools, and Community Engagement. And so we are trying to kind of use those models to create, milestones and to see that students are meeting certain milestones and to track the progress in terms of learning. We also are going to, at some point, try to track students who are in that program and kind of their educational success after they leave the program to see if it has a longitudinal impact. Of course, we always track the feasibility and viability of our programs depending on how many students enroll, because these are not compulsory programs. So if we have a lot of student engagement, that means that a program on one level is successful. So it's the combination of that, making sure that there's a full class, making sure that we get good feedback from the participants. We're going to collect feedback from them, and then using those milestones that are built into the framework of the curriculum to make sure there's some success there, and then long-term to kind of track to see that this is a worthwhile program in terms of starting students on the right track to being successful in school.
Great.
Exactly what Matthew said. The long-term, success of this program is that the students are successful, more than ready and prepared to enter our schools, and that the parents are prepared and that the parents have success in helping their students. Not feeling inadequate and not being able to help them. Success, that both of them have success in helping each other.
That confidence that parents
Yes.
will develop in being able to navigate the school system. And then in terms of transitioning after one completes the program, will we support families with identifying an early education center or an elementary TK program that they can enroll their kiddos in?
Absolutely, just like we do with all of our programs where we basically hold their hands, right? We have these wraparound services where we make sure that by all means, we do everything we can to, break any of the barriers that they have moving forward. The goal is to make sure that they end up in one of our TK programs, right, that they stay with us so that we can continue to support families and students the way that we do on a daily basis.
Okay, great. And then I love the question about advertising. I have seen the DACE ads. I think you're out there in the world. I'm seeing the billboards, which is great. I wonder, like, in terms of reaching our parent audience in the district, as an LUSD parent, obviously I get a lot of BBCs and whatnot, but I know at one point in the past, our DACE work was more present at our schools, our non-DACE school sites, so at our elementary schools, our high schools, et cetera. And I just wonder if there's more we can do to be closer to the families that we serve on the TK through 12 side, and help them make those on-ramps and to continued learning and education.
So we're also working very closely with Antonio's team over at SFACE to make sure that the word gets out and that we address those families as well as with the counselors in all of the schools. We're out there. We are working with every different department to ensure that everyone knows we're here to help you. Come to us, to do better.
Great. Yeah, and maybe even working with our principals and making sure they have the information so they can share that, or our community reps at our TK through 12 sites with our early ed principals as well, because we know our students their parents have to be in school or working to qualify. So there's probably some opportunities to tap in more and make sure we're letting people know about the amazing programs that we offer in ECD and DACE. And then just one more question, Dean, on the evening program. Sorry to bring you up after you already sat down. I was just curious, I think Jen had sort of alluded to bedtime, and I was just curious about kind of the instructional program, or what does the day or time look like in the evening? Because we know during the day there's a really set schedule, very, very thoughtful. It's different in the evening, I assume. So if you could share any of those details, that'd be great.
Yeah, so in the same conversations that we've been having, even around what kind of program would it look like in the evening, and, I think the expectation is that we would continue with the education that's going on in the day. So again, utilizing all the different activity areas, but also following the new PTKLFs, the Preschool Transitional Kindergarten Learning Foundations, as well as everything from doing the DRDPs, but also taking into fact that some of the kids may get tired in the evening. So making sure we've already increased the number of cots, that we've added more linen and blankets to the evening program. Food services comes into play, and so those different things. But starting with a snack in the evening, when the kids arrive. So they would probably be there. We were in conversation. It'd probably be like a 1 to 9 program when families would come in. So even though the adult ed may not start until, let's say, 2:30 or 4:30, then there's opportunities for the kids to come in, maybe start with a little bit of a nap, have a snack with the rest of the kids, play with them, during the outside afternoon time. And then as it gets kind of that, I'm going to say, for lack of when it gets darker, then to bring them inside, right, and start their instructional program. And so, the things using the creative curriculum, expanding on that, but very similar program, but with slight alterations in the time that it's going to take place. So one of those tasks that we'll be developing is kind of alternative schedules and what those would look like. So I have I'm going to call them the crack A-team, instructional team, kind of working on some of those ideas. And then even working with the principal in this case would be LaShawn Gaines over at Bradley, but helping us to build that program, and then even as the teacher and the aides that are assigned to those times, knowing that they're choosing a time that's later in the evening, but also being able to say, hey, let's work on a schedule, redesign it, and so by the time we hit San Pedro and West Valley, we have some really good working models in place for them.
Great. Yeah, it's excellent that you're thinking about being developmentally appropriate and taking into account how kiddos are feeling in the afternoons and evenings, which is different than in the morning probably. In terms of the 1 to 9, would that be would families have? It would be optional for them to bring them early, but not required necessarily.
Correct. Yeah, and it would. We still have the need requirement. So based on when the parents are coming in for their program, they get additional time for commuting, but study hours and time to meet. And so most of the programs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they end at 8:30. So giving them till 9 to come pick up their child, so that way if a parent needed to stay after and meet with their professor or their teacher or do some consultation, then they have that time to do that as well, or even before the program began. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, look forward to finding out more details as these programs start to launch. If no one else has any other questions for, oh, yep. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. Sorry, Dean, this is for you. In your response to Board Member Ortiz-Franklin on the career pipeline, you had mentioned the 3-hour aide positions, and it kind of just reminded me of a previous conversation around the infant aides and how they're limited to the hours that they can work. Just wanting to get a follow-up on that. Are the 3-hour aides also limited to just 3 hours? Question.
No, so the 3-hour aides, there's a cutoff, and I don't know exactly the cutoff point where the district would have to pay out full benefits and including into CalPERS. So one of the things that we do is we do look at how many they can work up to that point before they're promotable to the next level. So I want to say it's like, I think it's like, don't quote me, but I'll check back, but it's close to 800 hours that they can work. So a typical 3-hour aide wouldn't work that many hours in a year, but if we need them to stay later for a day or two, then they do have the opportunity to work later in the day. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, so we're intentionally keeping people under the threshold so they're not accruing those benefits.
Yeah, and part of it is because the state preschool program funding, we have to be really careful that we don't go over it and then run into the red, for lack of a better term.
I see. So I would hope that we can include something on like the recommendations list of that issue. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can help us on the specific wording when we get to that point. Okay, well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate the presentation. It was great. Okay, we'll turn now to the second document that you all have. So I'll just hold it up so everyone can see the one that's got the little logo on the top. So this is our draft list of committee recommendations from the school year. My team endeavored to review all of the meetings that we've had so far this year and kind of capture what seemed to bubble up to the top. I'll kind of walk through at a high level and then open it up for discussion if there's anything you want to add, either from today's conversation or from previous meetings that we might have missed, anything you want to remove. And as I mentioned, the intention is to present this to the full board. I'll be presenting on our committee at our board meeting next week, and I will be saying this all out loud for the record and then following up with our teams to let them know about our committee recommendations and how we might move them forward. Okay. Walking through, so the first one is around expanding our trauma-informed and whole childhood approach. This is an effort that was presented on via the TREE program at our last meeting, and also talks about how we might expand trauma-informed care and training for sites that don't have access to TREE currently. Next is around bringing more outdoor learning spaces to our early education programs, including our EECs, but also our preschool programs that are on elementary campuses, pursuing more state funding for these types of investments in our facilities, and also providing support for those sites that don't necessarily have a nature explorer yet. Next, as alluded to by Mr. Melvoin earlier, is really strategically looking at our previously shuttered early education sites, conducting a review of those sites, providing recommendations to the board and superintendent on how they might be used, and then if it's not feasible for us to operate programs in those areas, exploring potentially leasing to community-based partners who presented before this committee before, aligned to the district's early education goals. Next is around quality and measurement, and this kind of follows up on our presentation from Dr. Fuller. So looking at longitudinal data to promote quality, utilizing our existing district data to kind of follow kiddos as they transition from early education settings to elementary and make sure we're looking holistically at student success. Expanding and deepening our partnerships with community providers. We've had a lot of conversation about that. So looking at ways to ensure we're facilitating smooth transitions, exploring joint trainings on key topics like literacy and numeracy, sharing resources, and just generally bringing in our family care providers more intentionally. Setting strong foundations in literacy and numeracy, One key focus of this is expanding access to CGI. We had a presentation on numeracy at our last meeting, and we heard about and saw how impactful CGI was to early numeracy instruction. But also sharing literacy strategies in our communities, so working with community organizations and public libraries to give tools and resources on literacy to our families. The last bullet under that section is one that I know is really important to the committee, is around expanding our dual language programs. I think that's an area where we have wanted to see more progress, more of those dual language programs in our early education sites, and also ensuring that we're supporting multilingual learners at every site. The last section is around family engagement and communication tools. We talked, I think, at the beginning of the year about the program eligibility requirements, all the documentation that's required for our families to enroll in our early education centers, and how at a time like now where our immigrant families in particular are under attack, that those documentation requirements might feel really scary to some of our families, so ways that we could advocate for flexibility to ensure they can access these programs, utilizing the parent portal for communicating with our families more regularly, and incorporating things like parent surveys to ensure that we are understanding holistically how our programs are doing. So that's the list that we have drafted. And as I said, it's a draft, so I welcome anyone right now to jump in with thoughts, ideas, or questions. I know we talked about 2 potential additional recommendations today as well. Carolyn, why don't you start us off?
First, thank you for all the work in putting these together and reviewing all the materials and meeting notes and recordings. I do have a question, also following up on Jen's comment about the infant and the infant aid and the 3 hours. Just wondering, that was one of the recommendations from the last year's recommendations, and I know at the beginning of this year, we received an update on where things were with those recommendations, so just wondering if we could receive another update or compile the recommendations across the years so that they don't get lost, because there are still some pending issues that need to be addressed, and then a couple of other ones that, came up today, like the need to expand infant and toddler programs at LAUSD, because there is just a small percentage currently, and it's only available to, a small percentage of the community. And then one again around community partnerships. We had that presentation from, I think it was CCRC, looking at the map of LA County and the opportunities for partnerships with community-based organizations. Not just for the shuttered sites here that we have, but also just thinking about wraparound care and services with family child care homes. So those are just some thoughts, and then just have some suggestions for a few of these, for the outdoor spaces, just recognizing that it's very specific here to early ed centers and elementary schools with serving preschool students, but want to ensure that we're also including TK programs so that children in TK also have opportunities for these outdoor spaces and green spaces and more time outside, if that's possible, to look at the schedule so there's more kind of uniformity across programs serving 4-year-olds. And then here for the literacy partnerships, just suggesting also including literacy opportunities and tools in children and families' home languages so that they have that opportunity to have a strong foundation in their home language. And then lastly, around the dual language program expansion, really happy to see that. And also just recommend including, pathways to biliteracy in elementary school and beyond, so that children have the opportunity to eventually receive their state seal of biliteracy.
Yes, and I know our MMED is doing a lot of great, they're assessing students at the end of TK and who are on track for that seal of biliteracy. I know because my middle son just did that in TK. But we can definitely add that in. Let me make sure I know my team is taking notes, but I'll make sure I have it. So looking for an update on the expansion of hours for infant center aides, but maybe 3-hour aides in general, to follow up on that, on where things are. not for this document, but for my team to compile the recommendations over the 2 years that we've had the committee. Looking at an expansion of our infant and toddler programs, maybe starting with the areas of highest need within the district's boundaries. And then expanding opportunities for partnerships, including like wraparound care with our family child care providers. And then adding the pathways to biliteracy in the expanding dual language programs bullet, making sure we emphasize that the literacy resources and tools are in the home languages of our families. And then on the green space, I intended for it to be inclusive of TK. I wrote that like little phrase. I intended it to be inclusive of TK and CSPP but we can be more specific there. Perfect. Okay. Who else has thoughts? Yes.
Thanks so much. I think all of these agenda items are great to move forward and make our schools a high-quality place. So one of the things that I was looking at, setting strong foundation in literacy and numeracy, and we talked about CGI. We used to have a partnership with UCLA, and they would send us coaches. I think that was great. The teachers and the administrators really benefited if they didn't have any past experience. I think our last presenter, Principal Imelda, she was a coach, CGI coach, so obviously she can bring that into her school. But if we have a principal or a school that has never had the experience, it's really hard for them to advocate for that. And then for enhancing family engagement and communication tools, is there a way we can align the DRDP parent survey with the school experience survey? Because sometimes I feel like the questions that are asked on the school experience survey for early education parents, they're not related to our program. So that data really doesn't help us, maybe aligning it or adding to it, I don't know. And then also the career ladder for aides to, is that something that we could do?
Yes, okay. So I'll do kind of in reverse order. We'll add working with DACE to address maybe staffing needs in ECED, including our aides, and was it the associate teacher?
Associate teacher permit, so they can become substitute.
And I know that substitutes is an area of challenge for our early education centers. Okay, so we can definitely add that one unless anyone's opposed. Hearing none, I'll proceed. And then kind of reworking that final bullet of the DRDP and the parent input by ensuring that the school experience survey is actually relevant to making it tailored so that it's relevant to our ECED programs. Perfect, okay. And then adding, I assume the partnership ended with UCLA, is that what? Okay. So looking at if there's ways to restart that partnership with UCLA or someone else for first-time implementation of CGI. Okay, cool. Got that? All right. Who else wants to jump in? Board Member Melvoin, and then Ms. Magdalena.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. I think these look great. I would just, I might on the shuttered early ed sites, I might be a little prescriptive in terms of suggesting that maybe 2 sites we reutilize maybe for the start of the 26-27 school year, because this has been something we've been discussing a lot. And we have pushed, and thanks to Dean and the team, we've reopened Kentwood, which was in my district, but we still have these assets. And whether we're able to find state funding to reopen them as our ed centers, or the second bullet here, the leasing for other childcare providers, it's just a shame to me that throughout the county we have these sites that are sitting empty. So I might say something like, with the goal of reutilizing 2 of these sites by the 26 or for the 26-27 school year, just maybe the frustration in my, I'm trying to contain it. But I think if we just say review and explore, we're just gonna, like in years, still be reviewing and exploring, and I'd like us to be a little more like, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then I think just on the enhancing family engagement, just want to note that the board passed a digitization reso that I brought a few months ago that is aligned with kind of the second bullet here, but just making sure that we are keeping our EEC programs in mind when when we're doing that digitization and streamlining through Parent Portal. And then also, I know we've discussed this a bit, but looking, and it's kind of also aligned with one of the partnerships, but just this, the dream of some sort of unified enrollment, but using both community partnerships and digitization to make it easier for families to access their options and understand what's available between our programs and our partnership programs. So those seem to kind of bridge the family engagement and comms.
Okay. So including kind of ensuring that our EECs are included in the digitization, the implementation of the digitization. And then I agree with you on the shuttered sites. I think this was on our list in some way last year, and I think, I've got sites in my district as well, which I know I've had conversations with the team about, but I like adding the goal of reopening and utilizing 2 school sites by the 26-27 school year. We can add that in. And then around the unified enrollment, are you talking specifically about for early education or district-wide?
Yeah, I think that we've done a great job through eChoices and through kind of the K-12 options and trying to streamline and make it easier for families. I still think, and part of it is because there's the diversity of providers, but trying to convene or find a way for families to understand what their options are, both district and partners, and then either and so maybe first it's the Explore tool, which is kind of how we built our own eChoices. Like before we did Apply, we just had the Explore and then Get There, but finding out how we can have a clearinghouse for all early childhood options.
Okay. Got it. Yes, it's definitely, I know when I've met with families who are not yet enrolled in our district trying to explain, so we have the early education centers, and they serve these particular ages, and this is what you have to do to be eligible. And then we also have, CSPP, and we have to, it is a lot, even just within the district's programs. So
yeah, I think to analogize to something like not even in the education space, but you look at a flight booking website or something like or you book your travel, like a kayak.com, and you go and you put where you're going. And so I'd love a website where you go and you put your child's age and your address and a radius, and I'm looking for full day programs, morning programs, free programs, paid programs, and you click and it spits out here are the, and I know there are 2 challenges with that. One is the technological platform. 2 is just the coordination, and that's probably more difficult, but to me, it would be that level of ease, which is that you could look, and obviously would be in multiple languages, but you could search and all of our options would be on there with our partners, and maybe it's something that we could lead on and ask people to come and join on too.
for sure. Maybe we can put something high level here and then aim to have a discussion next school year, because I think maybe there's more ideas that the committee wants to share around what that could look like and how it might best be set up. Okay, cool. All right, Ms. Becca.
We actually have a website like that to find family childcare. It's karinacare.com. You go there, enter your family. You select family childcare, and then you put your zip code, what radius within you're looking for, if there's a specific language or hours that you're looking for, and then it gives you a list of different providers that meet those requirements, and then you can click on their profile, and then you can learn more about their business, and you can see the photos, or they have a little synopsis, and then it says you can call or email them, and it's kind of this is dating myself, but when you emailed through Craigslist, how it hides the actual email or the phone number, it's very similar to that for privacy reasons, and then you can connect directly with the provider, and then as a parent, learn more about their program, or maybe go do a tour or whatnot. So that exists, at least. Karina Care. Karina.com.
For personal reasons, you may
.com.
check it out.
Karina.com. So anyways, just wanted to share that since it's very relevant. But also, Kelly, to what you had mentioned, or Board Member Gomez, around the various options of early care and education that the district serves. And I remember there was a conversation around it, and I don't know where it landed, and maybe that speaks to Carolyn's point about where are we on what came out of the last session. but communications so that parents can fully understand the options, like some sort of, I don't know if it was like a one-pager or something that they can just see to fully understand what their options are. And maybe that exists, but I don't know. It might be good to kind of circle back on that. And then just in terms of what's in here, I think all of this is really great. So just echo a lot of Carolyn's sentiments of like just capturing everything that we had in the meetings. I'm really happy to see around the expanding and deepening the partnerships with providers like Paloma here. Very excited about the dual language pilot to kind of expand more in the TK, CSPP, especially because I think that will help make the district more competitive and enticing for parents to bring their children to the district. It's not universal to offer dual language with this age group unless you are with a family child care provider who can be more culturally responsive there. But I would know, I'm also looking for what options for me and my kids once they get to that age. And I think maybe there's one district locally that offers it, but it's far and few between. So I think it would be good if we can do something around that. And then I saw under the more outdoor learning spaces of pursuing more funding. I think just in general, I think that's a good flag for Martha of like funding that's needed for this age group, and hopefully her team can start thinking and drafting some stuff up, because I know we're concluding soon, and so we're already thinking about what the needs are for the following legislative cycle. And which also gets me to, it wasn't something I don't think we had in any of these meetings, but just around toileting of children and more parents now, since there is no sort of limitation on they have to be potty trained before entering the schools, right? Like now we have to accept them, of just ensuring that around facilities and our classrooms, and when we're accepting these children, then we have to make sure that we have what we need maybe in the classrooms versus going outside, because we know that drains our resources away from the classroom of teachers having to get pulled or maybe an aide, and then now we're out of ratios, and it's this whole thing. And especially if our kids are so little, it's really hard, even if you may have the timing of like getting to the bathroom and back, it's still really difficult for that one teacher to just remain in the classroom without that support, having to take this child to the class, to the potty. So just wanting to think about like the facilities and the bonds and what we have there to maybe start thinking about the different EEC centers that we have, and maybe doing an analysis. Where can we start to think about where we can insert more appropriately aged potties, in the classrooms and the spaces and all of that. So just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, I know that the toileting issue, I've gotten some emails and heard from the field about, I think there's a lot of questions still, and obviously a lot of important logistics to work out on the potty front now that we're opening our doors to kiddos who are not yet potty trained. So I wonder if maybe on that one, just so we can be more specific in our recommendations, maybe we add that also to the first meeting of the next school year, so we can have a specific discussion on the toileting. I mean, it feels weird to have a potty-specific presentation, but I think it's on brand for this committee. So having a presentation on that front. I think it's also about getting that information to families so that they know that the requirements have changed, so that they can take advantage of our programs. And then we will try to wordsmith if there's a way to combine kind of Board Member Melvoin's unified enrollment tool piece and then your piece around how do we communicate with families and ensure they know about the recommendations. In terms of what's changed, I know that there's been updates to the ECED website, and then they have that dedicated phone number that folks can call to learn about the options. I do think there's still a need for, is it a guide? Is it a map? It's some sort of easy to understand tool for families to know what their options are. And then adding advocacy around more early education funding for our OGR team, both on the state side and then obviously on the federal side. Protecting those funding streams is really important. So we can add that one as well. All right. Yes, go. Did you want to add? Go for it.
Yes. I really like the recommendations that is listed here. Also, I know the last time we spoke about the expansion of the trauma-informed for the whole child. Again, it's very critical that we offer more of our EECs and also CSPP programs where we have the TREE program, because just like during the fire, is so much trauma that some of our youngest learners experience with their families. And just having those programs available in these school sites really would mean so much to our students and to the families and to the staff as well. Also, where we have the outdoor learning spaces, I love it, I love it. Just would like to see where all of our schools have opportunities to have the experience for our students, for the outdoor learning. They're beautiful setups outside. I got a chance to visit a few. And because we do have our students who live in apartments, and just some just don't have the availability to go to parks and things like that, but to have it at their school site it's really something that's needed in all of our schools. So I think that if we could come up with some type of, how can I say, plan to increase those school sites for the upcoming year. I know we talked about having the EECs increased on that if the bond fund was passed, and since it has been passed, I think, we're in a good position to move forward.
Yes, the board got a presentation on Measure US, including greening, which included the Nature Explorers. My understanding is we'll get to almost every EEC with these new funds, but maybe we can get an update on, what's the timeline for those projects to come forward. Okay, any other additions, changes? Board Member Ortiz Franklin, I see you online.
Sure. Yeah, just very briefly, I think a lot of great ideas captured in here. One thing I was thinking about bond funding is board offices get some discretionary dollars, and I have funded several early ed furniture projects. And sometimes I think it's just about sharing with all the early eds that you can also ask your board offices to help with these kinds of projects, because typically I see them come, from all 7 districts, mostly in elementary through secondary, like traditional schools. So I don't know if that's just some information out to principals, but I know we talked a lot about the outdoor ed, but it made me think about the indoor ed as well. So letting schools know how they can access funds to update their indoor learning centers. And then something we didn't really talk about this year, maybe this is a future year as well, or just something I've thought about generally in LA Unified, is more field trips for kids. I don't know to what extent our early eds and TKs are able to even, I don't think they can utilize ELOP funding or the cultural arts passport. So are there other lots of funding or other opportunities where we can, help early ed students or preschool students explore beyond their schools? So just maybe that's for a next year thing. I'm not sure, Ms. Gomez, what you think about that.
Yeah, what's funny is that I had actually put that in this document, and then my team mentioned that we hadn't discussed it, and that this wasn't just my document to add in my ideas. Because I have heard from principals about, or EEC principals, that they don't have access to ELOP funding. I know I've utilized my office's funding to help support field trips, but it's definitely not enough money to cover all the needs at Early Ed Center. So perhaps that's I'll add it for the integrity of this process. I will add it to the fall list, but I agree with you. That's a great suggestion. And maybe ECED can help us advertise that board offices have bond funding that they can ask for. I know my principals do ask for it, but we want to make sure all of them are aware, especially because their budgets are so small. So maybe they can help us get some communication out to the field. All right, anything else for this document? Yes, Ms. Corona.
Thank you so much. It looks great. All of the information that it's in here. I want to follow up with Jen's comment about the toileting. It is very important to share that that information with the parents, because as far as I know, a lot of the families that I serve, they were not aware about that change. So last year, a lot of families were pushing their children to get ready and do diaper change, toilet training, potty training. And it can be very frustrating for families to say, my child is not gonna be ready, I'm gonna have to spend one more year trying to figure it out. So it will be great if there's more exposure of that information. And also, yes, the website is not parent-friendly at all. So it will be great if we can make some adjustments and figure it out. For myself, I think after the 3 first children, by the 4th one, I was a pro. But a lot of the families that I have, one of them, she came to me crying because she couldn't understand, like, what is the age that I can be taking my son into TK, and what are my options? Do I need to go to this specific school? But, there's a school on the street where I live that they have a bilingual program, and all of the families want to go to that school, but they don't know that they have other options. So it will be great to work on that website, please. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, I hear the need on the website, and the need for it to be a resource that's helpful for our families, because if they can't navigate it, then it's not much use. Okay. Anything else on the recommendations? So we will take all of the ideas and changes today. Hopefully I captured everything when I summarized it back to you. And then the team will update it, and we'll have to have it ready for Tuesday. So we'll send it around to all of you once it's done. And then we have, for our fall meetings, we'll send out those dates that are coming up. And then we'll make sure that we spend time on the kind of tool or resource guide, or how do we help families know about the options and really be able to navigate them, and then a conversation on toileting as well. So look forward to more on that in the fall, and on the ELOP and enrichment funding for early education sites. All right, before we turn to public comment, we have a special recognition today. I want maybe to call up Dr. Dean Tagawa, our wonderful executive director of our early childhood education division, who is retiring after just an amazing career serving our youngest learners in the district. I know we all want to say great things about you, Dean, and that you also would like to share some words with us. But I will just say it's been such a privilege working with you for my 8 years on the board. You are just a tireless champion for our babies and for the people who work so hard to serve them in the school district. And you're a visionary leader, but you're also just so incredibly kind and dedicated. And I feel like we have all benefited from, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. We have all benefited from your leadership, and we will miss you. And we're so grateful just for the years that you've served us. And I am now going to open it up to others to share their wonderful recollections and thoughts about Dean. Board Member Melvoin, do you want to go next?
Sure, thank you. I actually have a resolution I'm bringing Tuesday that will prevent you from retiring. So I ask for my colleagues' support with that. No, I do hope, though, I say this to most folks who retire. Luckily, LA Unified, leadership, they're bad at retiring. They retire and then come back in different roles. So I hope you continue that tradition of not succeeding, Dean, because it is hard, as Ms. Gona said, to imagine the early ed division without you. But so appreciated our partnership and friendship. We've done a lot in my tenure that you've done, and I take credit for it. That's how this works. But whether that's reopening Kentwood Early Ed Center, West Valley Occupational Center, sliding scale preschool, the largest expansion of TK in the country, and doing it with such a sense of kindness and joy. And I think that you are just a shining example that you can do really hard work and be very mission-driven and still do it with love and friendship and joy. And you don't have, they're not mutually exclusive. And so it's just been a real pleasure to work with you. You bring so much to this role, whether it's your military background, and thank you for our little challenge coins, your doctorate, your role as a father. I mean, it's And it will be missed, but I know we'll continue our friendship at least, and it's just been a real privilege to work with you. So thank you for your dedication to the babies and to the adults of LA Unified.
Thank you, Mr. Melvoin. Board Member Ortiz Franklin, I'm not sure if you're with us, but give you an opportunity to jump in here.
I'm sorry I'm not there with you in person, but same, we're very sad to see you go and so grateful. And I still have my lanyard that says, college begins in preschool. And I don't know if you coined that or if I just think that goes with you. When I see you, I'm so grateful for the cultural shift around focusing on our earliest learners that you've really helped lead the charge on for the past many number of years. So just thank you for your passion for our littlest learners and really igniting what I think is a movement in early ed for LA Unified and hopefully for the state of California and the entire country. So you will be greatly missed, but your legacy will live on. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you. Any of our committee members want to share any words at this time about Dr. Tagawa? Yes, go ahead.
If I may, this was, I think, 15, 16 years ago. I was a teacher at Logan Early Ed Center, and we just had a new principal come in, and it was Dr. Dean Tagawa. And within the first week, he called me into the office and said, "We can look up the principal and the director that was here prior to me and what educational background they have. You have to strive to get to that level." And it was then that I decided to go back and get my master's in early education and continue my career. So very impactful. And then I remember years back after that, he visited me when he became a director at Kittredge Elementary when I was a CSPP teacher. And then I became a principal under his leadership. So it's been a great experience. Your advocacy for early education, not only for the kids, for the staff, is top-notch. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes.
I want to cry, Dr. Tagawa. Same as Viken. I've known you for about the same amount of years, but I feel like I've known you as not just my director or executive director, but as a friend, as a person that I look up to, a role model. You've taught me how to lead with kindness, try to strive to be the servant leader or transformational leader that you are. I hope that when you retire, our friendship does not end, because I know it won't, though, because you are one of my mentors and one of my role models that I really look up to. And I just always will appreciate that you taught me how to lead and still keep that human side of, people have things going on, and you keep that too. But at the core of what you do, our job is about serving our students and serving our families and overall our community. And you'll be greatly missed by many of us. So, but I know you're not going to be far away, and I know I hope you enjoy your retirement. I hope you have a plan. I hope you have great days in Big Bear planned with your wife and your kids, and you deserve to enjoy it with all the work that you've done for our division. Thank you, Dr. Tagawa.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure to work with you and meet you. I haven't known you nearly as long as everyone here, but I can just also exclamate and highlight your kindness and leading with love and joy, which has been great to see. And, sometimes when you climb the ranks and anywhere, you tend to get disconnected from where you originally started from in the field and our kids. And I never saw that with you. So much so that whenever you would ask me, how are your kids? Oh, they're this age. Oh, so they should be hitting this milestone and this should be happening. It's like, yes, actually, you're right. And so just to just see how passionate and ingrained in the work you are, it's been great. And I wish you nothing but best in retirement. I hope for your sake you don't return, but for ours, it would be great. Enjoy the retirement and have a great celebration with your kids. Thank you.
Best wishes on your retirement. I know sometimes we may not agree on everything, but I wish you success, and also thank you for leading the torch on helping to build our early childhood programs, keeping them open, and making it possible to have more increased enrollment with all of our students in early childhood. Good luck.
Oh, Dean, I'll get emotional too because we're going to miss you so much and you're just such an incredible leader and it's just been so amazing working with you. I've had the pleasure of working with Dean for 7 years, all my time at Early Edge, and it's just been such a joy, just the incredible work that you've done. Just for others, it can seem so daunting, such a big school district, so many sites, but what you've been able to do, create this model program with dual language programs, just the vision to start in preschool with the SEAL program and with Korean, and all this amazing work over the years and just your passion and dedication that just shines through, and all your care and devotion for the staff and the children and the families. So we'll really miss you. You know, it's going to be hard to follow in your footsteps, but, you know, passing on the torch. We'll continue to shine light on these great programs that you've established and wishing you all the best with your family, and, you know, enjoying the fruits of your labor and enjoying some well-deserved rest and relaxation.
Well, Dean, by the looks of you, I would think that you just got started. Retire? I'm looking like, retire? So I'm like the newest kid on the block, but I do recall being here at one of the meetings and I gave a comment. And so after the meeting was over, you stopped me over there and you just let me know that was a great question and thank you. You know, you let me know that you were listening to what I said. And that went miles with me, you know, and so I could tell that you are a person that really cares about the work that you do. And I know that you are going to do well in your next found work of relaxation. So I just want to say best wishes to you and just, you know, have fun. The rest of your life, just have fun. You've worked, by the sounds of everyone here, that you've done a good work. And so just continue to do that work and shine, 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 and enjoy your life. Yes, sir.
Thank you all so much. Yes, Paloma.
I want to say thank you for for setting up the high standard that you have set in this field. And every time I see you, I always get something from you. You have a lot of resources, a lot of information, and you seem to be a very kind and gentle person. And it looks like every time you talk, you are just bombarding us with a lot of information and great ideas. Thank you for that. And I hope you enjoy your retirement. Don't listen to anybody, you know, just relax. It's your time to shine and relax.
Yes.
Good advice, good advice. Dr. Tagawa, did you want to, we do have a token of appreciation for you, but wanted to turn the mic over to you if you want to share any words.
Yeah, you know, so one, you know, you got a little coin with a Mr. Rogers quote, because I do think, you know, when it comes to kindness, that's what I want to lead with. And I hope over the years, in the last 10 years in this position, that I've been able to do that and lead with kindness. And I'm trying not to get emotional because the longer you guys talk, the more emotional I got.
No.
So I want to say that, you know, over the 10 years, I hope the body of work that we've been able to do within the district has been great. I'm going to say, you know, starting as a TA in the district back in 1985, and then kind of working through many different positions. And then, as Mr. Kazarian said, one of the things that was critical was one year there were some budget cuts, and the district decided to assign some elementary principals to both an elementary school and an early ed center. And that's kind of my foray into becoming an early ed center director later on. And my predecessor, I had actually just called her to congratulate her on becoming the executive director for early ed. And I said, I just wanted to call you and congratulate you, and but just know that I spent a couple of years in early ed, and so if you need somebody to help with that crosswalk between early ed and K-12, I can help you with that, right? I said, I think I have just enough information to make me dangerous, I think is what I told her. She picked up the phone, called me 5 minutes later and said, I have a job and you can't say no. And so, you know, when your supervisor tells you no, you can't say no, then So I came to early ed, and I've absolutely, my entire career in the district, I've loved it. But my years in early ed have been just amazing. The teachers are amazing, the staffs are amazing. In the recent years, we've been able to do things like, STEAM programs and dual language and participate in QRIS. And, this year we were just looking at, we've had over 13,000 participants in our professional development sessions. And so that's all kudos to the teachers, the very small instructional staff that I have, the directors. I think the board has been super kind and generous to early ed in helping us, use measure funding to open our outdoor classrooms, to expand them, and then being able to work within the different divisions and departments to get everything from educator effectiveness funding to facilities funding to measure funding to busing. I mean, they've all been awesome to work with. And so I want to, the committee's in good hands and the division is in great hands because Renee's been here kind of shadowing me for the last 2 years. And so she knows just as much as I know, and she has a even deeper background in early ed. So I think you guys are in great hands and the work will kind of continue forward. So with that said, just hang on to the challenge coin because it's kind of my two different personalities. I kind of feel like I have the early ed personality in there, and then the backside was, I felt like I learned a lot from the U.S. Army. And most of it was how not to be so type A. Because you meet them and you're like, wow, that's what type A looks like? I don't want to be like that. So I think I like the early ed side better. So, but that's why, there, and then again, just the reminder that, kindness matters, and I think in all the work we do, it's really important that we remember that for our students and our staffs and our community. So I'll end with that, but thank you. And being part of these committees going back has just been, amazing. So thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Dean, do not sit down. We have a small token of appreciation from the committee, and I'd love to invite all of you to come down to the podium and take a photo with Dean with his special recognition. So let's do it. Let's surround Dean. Oh, yeah, sorry, we're off center. Thank you, Saeed.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's everything.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you. So fast. I didn't.
And if you want to continue celebrating Dean, I believe the board will be also doing a recognition of him at our upcoming board meeting, where he'll get his LUSD bell. So feel free to tune into our meeting. And yes, I can't say enough good things about Dr. Tagawa. Before we conclude our final meeting for the year, we have our public comment speakers. So I'll turn it over to Mr. McLean to call on our speakers.
Okay, we have a full list today. So there's one person listed as speaking in person. That's Laura Weisbecker. Are you here? I can't quite see from back here. Is Laura here? Yes. Laura's coming on up. All right, Laura, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. When you begin.
Okay. So hello, I'm Laura Weisbecker. I'm a parent at Broadway Elementary, and I'm speaking for more than 100 families. I'm here today to ask for your support to bring an English TK to Broadway instead of opening a second Spanish immersion SI kindergarten class with 0 enrollment. TK is especially crucial for low-income families and English learners, giving them an extra year of support. Research shows that it improves kindergarten readiness. By law, LAUSD must offer TK at every elementary school, but at Broadway, the district says there is no space. Yet, space is being reserved for an SI kindergarten class with 0 enrollment. That same classroom, located in the kindergarten yard, could easily and cost-effectively be used for TK, serving over 25 families from both immersion programs who are ready to enroll for 25-26. Broadway is the only dual language school in the district without a TK, and the only non-magnet school in District 4 without one. This is not the first time that the district has opened 2 under-enrolled SI kindergarten classes at Broadway that didn't norm. Each time, the district required the school to use parents' donation and school funds to pay for teachers, diverting hundreds of thousands of dollars from general education, support staff, and enrichment programs that benefit all students, just to support a few. It's a clear misuse of public resources. It erodes public trust and drives families away from the district. So let's ensure all students are served fairly and that the district funds support equity, real student needs, and not empty seats. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, the balance of the comments are from remote callers, and so I'll begin calling on them. Brianna Hernandez. Brianna Hernandez, I see you're on the line. Please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Brianna Hernandez.
Good morning. My name is Brianna Hernandez, and I'm a sophomore at the Leadership in Public Service Virtual Academy. Before joining this program, school was a really painful place for me. I dealt with constant bullying about how I looked, acted, and existed. It got to the point where I didn't even feel safe walking into a classroom. That kind of stress doesn't just stay at school. It follows you home, into your mind, into your ability to learn. Virtual learning changed that. I had a safe space where I felt protected, where I could actually focus. For the first time, I felt like I was seen for who I am and not judged for it. But lately, it feels like that safe space is slipping away. This year, many of our teachers were forced to report to physical campuses, even though they're still teaching online. Because of that, we're now dealing with constant background noise, echoing classrooms, fire alarms, PA announcements, and total lack of privacy. It's hard to feel comfortable when you can hear other students' voices through your teacher's mic, or worse, when your own voice doesn't feel private. Teachers are burnt out too. They're losing hours to long commutes, and it's affecting us. We've lost the clubs that helped us make friends. We've lost the one-on-one time that helps struggling students stay afloat. That support matters. It still matters. And let's not forget the environmental cost. Long drives every day for remote teachers, that's more gas, more pollution, and more harm to the planet. Why make a policy that hurts students and the climate? If LAUSD really wants to protect mental health, education, and the environment, then give teachers real options. Let them work from home if they can. Let's not go backwards. Virtual learning gave me a second chance. Please don't take it away. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Alex Halo, you're signed up to speak remotely, but I do not have you signed in at the time. Are you in here in person? No, Alex. Thakur Singh, I see you're on the line. Thakur Singh, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Thakur Singh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. Good morning, I'm Thakur Singh. I'm a member of the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee, a resident of your district, Board Member Ortiz Franklin, and a student from the Leadership in Public Service Virtual Academy. This year, over 300 Virtual Academy teachers were suddenly required to report to physical campuses to continue teaching entirely remotely. While I applaud LAUSD's commitment to sustainability and the future of our planet, and has moved remote teachers to in-person campuses, many of which are far away from their homes, which contradicts these goals. Instead of being placed on campuses near their homes, teachers have been placed indiscriminately. Many have been forced into extensive daily commutes as high as 4 hours in a single day, adding to traffic pollution and burnout. There are also the learning issues. Teachers have been placed into shared rooms. As students, we often hear other teachers in the background. Teachers are provided headphones, but some refuse to wear them because it may cause pain or discomfort. How can my teachers be the best possible for students like me in this complex environment? We're also actively conducting a survey of our teachers. We're still gathering responses, but so far, 100% have indicated that they have some form of distraction in their workplace. That includes burglaries. 100% have also indicated issues with workspace quality, such as poor ventilation, bathroom issues, and yes, that includes rodents and rodent droppings. We have the data to prove this. Going back to the environment, this policy, which is totally unnecessary because these are remote teachers still teaching remotely on in-person campuses, has led to more hours in traffic, hours which could have been spent on students, and more pollution. Board Member Melvoin, you have spoken about a climate crisis, as quoted in a local Los Angeles news outlet. Board Member Gomez, you have spoken about environmental justice on your website. Board Member Tanya Ortiz Franklin, my representative, on your website you state, and I quote, "I urge Los Angeles County to develop and commit to a proactive, urgent, and equitable approach to climate change." How is it equitable to hurt students who are learning virtually, primarily due to health reasons, bullying, homelessness, lack of transportation like me, or other reasons? How does that make sense? How does that support the environment? And most importantly, how does that support us as students? We ask that you put us first by changing this policy. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Jamila Funtua, I see you're on the line. Jamila, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Jamila.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Just make sure to speak up into your device, because I think we heard from you yesterday and we couldn't hear some of your words quite clearly.
Yeah, hold up 1 second. Hello, can you hear me?
That's great. That's much better. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Good morning. My name is Jamila Fantu, and I'm a student at the Leadership and Public Service Virtual Academy. I first chose virtual alongside help care for my grandparents who face serious health challenges. Being close to them means everything to me. Unless we support them, I'm still focusing on my school. Virtually make that bonds possible, but this year that bonds are starting to fall apart. The nearby teachers who still teach entirely and have been forced to report to physical campuses, and that decision has created a whole new set of problems. Shower rooms are noisy, there are echo, PA announcements, and sometimes even fire alarms. It showed me how to focus. Our learning back went from calm and instructed to loud and chaotic. On top of that, teachers used to be available for one-on-one support on Zoom, but now due to constant interruptions, that support just isn't there anymore, and I have to figure things on my own, which takes longer. Also, what about equity? What happened to supporting teachers who face some of the same issues as the students? Some teachers have disabilities, failure to care for, lack of easy transportation. Who wants to have teacher-student connections and accommodations for effective but otherwise immobile educators? We are instructed to support these people. Why exactly is district trying to get rid of support that's supposed to help them? Teachers should have the choice to work from home or be placed at campuses near their homes. Any teacher with valid reason and request of accommodation to remain fully remote should be supported, not penalized. Virtually help me manage my education. Please make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, the next caller is Christopher. I see you're on the line. Christopher, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Christopher.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Salvatore, and I am a sophomore at the Leadership and Public Service Virtual Academy. Coming from a low-income household and having emotional problems and suffering from financial problems, the Virtual Academy brought a safe space and an opportunity to learn without experiencing transportation or in-person problems, and this provided moral growth with less challenges. However, this year, one continual problem that I see is that numerous teachers were reassigned to physical campuses, even though they are teaching online. The fact that teachers have to drive up to hours to go to work brings problems such as wasting time, adds pollution, and puts more drivers at risk on the road. Even worse, teachers are facing the sufferings of having their rooms trashed, being unsafe in the school, and experiencing car crashes. If this doesn't raise concerns, I don't know what will. The action of having teachers work in schools affects students as well. Many teachers are now in a shared room. This makes it much more common to hear other classroom or announcements such as fire alarms, earthquake drills in the background, which is extremely distracting. Even worse, it raises privacy concerns by having other individuals hear private discussions with our teacher. This doesn't even feel or sound like a safe, focused environment to learn in. There needs to be a change. Teachers should have the option to choose between working remotely or on campus, but as close of a location to their homes as possible. However, many locations are packed together and are far. This is simply ludicrous. Many teachers already work out locations outside of the main welcome centers. There should also be a rotating on-campus schedule to end the daily distractions both we as students and teachers have to face in the classroom. Thank you for your time and goodbye.
Thank you for your time. Melody Montoya, you're signed up to speak remotely, but I do not have you signed in. Are you in the room? No, I don't see anyone in the room. Carolina Gamage, I see you are online. Carolina Gamage, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Carolina Gamage.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me today. I'm Carolina Petra Gamage. I am the 2025 valedictorian from Leadership and Public Services Virtual Academy. I am here today to speak on the matter of teachers being put in person, doing remote jobs that they can perfectly well do from the comfort of their own home. As a student personally, I've gone through many struggles and many complications in my own personal life, and I've always had teachers who were super enthusiastic to support me and to help me with my goals and to help me with my mental health and to allow me to perform in the best possible way. And now that teachers are being put in person, I don't even know who's with them in the rooms. There are many teachers that have different microphone problems, different teachers who don't wear headphones, which is very reasonable since they are very uncomfortable. Some people wear glasses, which makes it complicated for them to focus and to perform in the best possible way. For what I don't understand is how were we as students taken the opportunity to speak to people who are just supposed to be there for us, to help us, support us, to talk about things that are actually important for us as students, and are being put into rooms with multiple people, which then sacrifices the security and the comfort and the safety that us as students were feeling. For me, this is absolutely just outrageous because I was a person who struggled a lot. I've been through things that many people can't even imagine. And as a person who's had this support and now losing this support system in this last year was very difficult. And even with that, I was able to climb on the top and did get to the point where I am the valedictorian of our upcoming classroom. But I don't understand how the upcoming years are going to be able to have the same support and the same values that we were, since teachers are being put where they're not necessarily needed to be and sacrificing the safety and the comfort of children and families, which is what you are trying to do today. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We have someone listed simply as a substitute educator. A substitute educator, I do not see you on the line. Are you in the room, substitute educator? I do not see you, whoever you may be. Let's see, Cassandra, you are on the line. Cassandra, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Cassandra.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Cassandra Carrillo and I'm a Virtual Academy student. Today I'm here to speak on behalf of our Virtual Academy schools as a student from the Leadership and Public Service Virtual Academy. Although we as students are in your typical school setting, something impacting the quality of learning has taken place. A policy that began this school year has been impacting not just teachers, but most importantly students and our overall school community. Our teachers were set and instructed to return to campus when we as students aren't even in the school setting. Not only can it be time consuming for them to drive to campuses where there are no students, which takes away time that was formerly offered for one-on-one support for students like me. But why is it that the locations our teachers have been placed in are often riddled with insects, rodents, and experience burglaries? And because workspaces are shared, we as students hear other classes in the background all the time, as well as PA announcements. There are also fire alarm and lockdowns of the main school property, requiring our teachers from our school to have to spend time away from us as students. There are also serious Wi-Fi issues due to the poor quality of Wi-Fi on the campuses. There are also rodents and pests, creating an environment that is not at all comfortable space for educators, which hurts the quality of our education. Also, think of the environmental impacts. There are teachers forced to sit there for hours on end in traffic because of this policy, leading to more emissions, which hurts our planet. If you say you value the environment, why don't you show it? Because right now you aren't showing it. We students ask that you repeal this policy, give virtual teachers who still teach entirely remotely on campus the option to work from home or on campus. You can help thousands of students, you can help teachers, and you can help the planet. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And our last remote speaker is Lulu Varela. Lulu Varela, I do not see you online. Lulu, are you in the room? No, Lulu, that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to the public comment speakers. I think I have shared this before, but the staff follows up on the issues that are brought up in public comment. Since they're not on the agenda, we can't necessarily discuss them as a committee, so just so you know. I forgot something, so we wanted to do a recognition of you all as well. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're just really grateful for, I know you have busy day jobs, very important ones, and we just appreciate you taking the time to be with us. All of the thoughtful conversations, I think today was a great example of just the wonderful people who are part of this committee, and for me, it's a joy to work with you all and to have these discussions. So we do have some certificates of recognition. So if I might present them to you down there, and then we can take a photo of the whole team, and then we'll be fully done for the day, hopefully by lunchtime. Okay, quickly. Thank you. Okay. Never used this microphone before. Oh, it's on. Okay, great. Okay, this is more awkward physically than I thought it would be. But Carolyn, bring everyone down and we'll take a picture together. Junhee is in Sacramento. Junhee, I hope you're doing well. Kinetic is not with us. Maria is not with us. Okay. Scarlett Ramirez Holguin. Scarlett, come on down. I'm sorry, I'm giving you two. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Vicken Kazarian. We appreciate you. And Baca Beltran. Come on down, Jen.
Thank you.
Ivana Barlow. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you. Brenda Brown. And last but not least, Paloma Corona. Our board members don't get certificates, but they're appreciated nonetheless. All right, and then let's do a group photo if that works for everybody. And then you're free.
I'm excited.
In the corner.
Okay.
Well, whatever you.
That way I can hide everything.
Oh, there you go. Get the right angles. I know.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, show the certificate. Now I'm gonna do one vertical, 1, 2, 3. Right, over here. 1, 2, 3.
Dean and Renee, if you guys want to join us for one picture?
Yes.
Come on. With Dean, Renee, and Pia, come join us for one last picture. Sorry, Zaid, one more. Yay, okay. Yay. Very nice, everybody. Thank you. A small token. And all the board members sign and the superintendent. Thank you so much. We're gonna miss you guys in the summer months.
Yeah, well, hope to see you in the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for everything and
Enjoy your summer.
Yeah, you
I want a
too.
photo too, but my phone is all the way up there.
Oh, well, we could do one.
Okay.
I am heading back there.
Yeah. No, it's, it's just actually really good. So